warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Today I would like to present about my final project, and the title is translating an ebook entitled Seed Physiology of Development, Germination, and Dormancy 3rd edition by G. Derek Billy, Ken G. Bradford, Henry M. Hillhorst, and Hiro Nondogaki on page 133 until 182. And before start, let me to introduce myself. My name is Indah Sulistyowati from C class. And now I would like to tell you about the theory and the step which I will use it to make reference for my final project. And for the first is, I will tell you about the definition of translation, which is from the expert. According to Newmark 1988, translation is rendering the meaning of the text into another language in the way into the author perspective. And additionally, similar to Yakub 2014, translation is transferring the meaning of the source language into the target language, from source language to target language from by way of semantic structure. And so, to conclude, that translation is changing textual text or message from source language to target language to communicate from one language to another language through transferring a message. And the second is the process of translation. According to Munday 2011, the process of translation between two different written languages involves the changing of an original written text or the source text in the original verbal language or the target language. And from according to Budianto and Fardani 2010, the translation process is the procedure or order steps of technical device used to translate the meaning of a text in one language into a text in another language, or the source language message to target language message equivalently. And the other the process from Nida and Taber 1974 is translation process has three stages. Those are analysis, transfer, and restructuring. And in number one is analysis. In this step, the translator analyzes the surface structure of the target language, which is the message as given in source language that analyzed in the term of the grammatical relationship and the meaning of the word and combination of words. And for the transfer, in which the analyzed material is transferred in the mind of the translator from the source language to the receptor language. And in restructuring, in this step, the translator is restructuring to make the final message entirely acceptable in the receptor language. And now I will tell about the method and procedure of translation. According to Newmark 1988, there are 8 methods of translation. In number 1 is word for word, and this is often demonstrated as interlinear translation with the target language immediately below the source language word. And for the second is literal translation. Here is the source language grammatical construction are converted to their closest target language equivalents, but the lexical word translated singly out of the context. And for the third is faithful translation. It is attempts to reproduce the precise contextual meaning of the original within the constraint of the target language grammatical structure. And for the next is semantic translation. It is more flexible than faithful translation. The faithful translation is more rigid and does not compromise with the target language rule or is more tied to the source language, whereas semantic translation is more flexible with the target language. And for the next is adaptation translation, and in 6 is free translation, and the 7 is idiomatic translation, and the last is communicative translation. And for the procedure are from Finney and Darbonnet 1995, they mention the 7 procedures in translation. They divided translation method into 2 strategies. The first is direct or literal translation, and the second is obligate translation. For the direct or literal translation is the strategy contains procedure which use when structural and conceptual elements of the source language can be transposed into the target language. And the direct or literal translation strategy covers three procedures. There are borrowing, self-view, and the last is literal translation. And for the oblique translation is the strategy is used when the structural or conceptual elements of the source language cannot be directly translated without altering meaning or upsetting the grammatical and stylistic elements of the target language. Oblique translation covers four procedures. There are transposition, modulation, equivalence, and adaptation. So, now the conclude that the wordle will be used to step from Indah and Taber 1988, and there have three stages. And there is analyzing, transferring, and restructuring, and also will be applied with some strategies from procedure of Vinay and Dormancy. So it will be help the writer can deliver her value of this translation and ebook project. And thank you for your attention, and sorry if I have a mistake. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you next time.